So we've talked about that. We've talked about those mechanics. Now, what about queuing up actions? Queuing up actions is very important. With that cloning, let's do it one more time. After you hold an attack, you want to re-establish that map control we were talking about. You want to see what's going on. So we're going to do it one last time. Everyone go there, deselect a Zergling. Let's put another one in the middle of the map. Everyone go there, deselect a Zergling. And we'll put one on this base as well. Make sure he's not doing that. Deselect a Zergling. We then Control 2, we remake our hotkey, and we've sent these beautiful Zergling scouts out into these different locations on the map. One of the sickest mechanics to learn becomes very important when you get to around Gold League and upwards. From that point on, I see a lot of players kind of cap out in Gold League because they don't use this mechanic, and they never see what's happening on the map. They don't know when their opponent's expanding or so on. And when they do try to scout, they do exactly what I was talking about, where they're like, oh, you go there, you go there, you go there. Not only does that take longer because they're clicking on screen, but now suddenly they're like, oh, grab the army, and they pull their scouts back, and it was just completely wasted APM. So keep in mind that is one of the absolute most important mechanics. Now let's look at queued up actions. This is another way of using shift. Of course, most of you should know shift is a way of queuing things up. So I can say move there, move there, move there. And these guys are going to follow this path. Cool. Now, why is this so important? It's just something which you want to use to help queue things up. If I say I want to send these guys as a counterattack, I will queue them up to go hide on the top left of the map. And then I can time that out to hit with the rest of my army. Most of the time in-game, when you see a person dropping in 3 places at once, and you're like, my god, his multitasking is insane. Keep in mind, it's usually not necessarily him on point microing them all at once. For the most part, he queues up a series of drops, a series of attacks, and is only mostly focused on the one frontal attack. The other ones he'll just look at to stim the drop or to unload the dropship. But even then, you can actually unload drops. You can queue up unload, and that's what we'll do here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, let's drop 8 Zerglings. Let's drop a whole bunch of guys, actually. Let's do a big drop. Let's make 4 dropships here. Same mechanic, no matter what race you're with. Let's get Overlord speed, of course. But I can say, move there, shift, drop there. Now, you can see the waypoint. These guys are moving down here, and then they're going to go there and unload completely on their own. I do not need to look at that at all. Using shift, one of the most important mechanics in the game as well. Alright guys, so we've talked about all of your core mechanics here for your very basics. Camera hotkeys. Use that for injecting. Use it for going around your bases and dropping mules. Use it for going between your bases and transferring workers. It's an absolutely important mechanic. Oh, we're going to change that drop path. And we build a whole bunch of hydras to make sure our army doesn't just get shreked. Run! Man, these guys really like infestors, don't they? Oh, the AI is so random. Oh, AI, you're so stupid. Okay, let's hop out of game. Quickly. Let's pause that. So what's next, guys? We've talked about all your fundamental mechanics. So that first section there, all of those things are what you really do need to focus on to get started in StarCraft, but some of them also are players in GM don't use camera hotkeys. There's even been pro gamers who didn't use camera hotkeys. Nowadays, there's probably like 1 to 2, maybe 3 pro gamers in the entire world, I think, that don't use camera hotkeys. Pretty much everyone else does. I was one of the latest to swap myself, and when it changed, it was like amazing. But that does tell you can play at a very high level without some of these mechanics. But it makes the game harder for yourself. It does. So if you are starting out or you ever want to improve, everything we talked about just there is an incredible list of things that you can work on. I do see Shadow60 saying no, lots of donations. I do want to say a massive thank you for the tips. We are trying to keep the show very focused on the content rather than having pop-ups pop up, especially for people who are watching on YouTube. But I will be giving massive shout-outs to everyone who subs or tips or anything like that once the show's over. So thank you very much. let's continue moving on to the next point. Now, there's a few more things which we can talk about here. One is control group stealing, and one is rapid fire. These are both very advanced mechanics. I don't want to spend a lot of time on them. We're just going to quickly brush over them. So let's start out with... Get out of there, Roaches. Ooh, that drop's queued up. See? Notice they're just all... Let me go back in game. So the drop actually just queued up, dropped completely of its own accord, is starting to destroy the main base. Isn't that fantastic? That's great.